I got back from my business trip to find Ruby playing a video game. Weren't you supposed to bring me an umbrella? I asked. Ruby didn't even look up. I saw the rain had stopped, so I didn't go. For once, I didn't feel like arguing with her. I just turned and went to unpack. Once the thought of breaking up takes root, there's no turning back. Guys, they're one shot. Team fight. Group up. Group up. When I'd walked in, Ruby was shouting into her headset. She was in the middle of a game, and it sounded intense. I stood in the entryway, peeling off the shoes and socks that had been soaked by the flooded streets. After a few minutes, Ruby quieted down. I raised my voice, making sure she could hear me through her headphones. You said you were going to bring me an umbrella at the airport, didn't you? Without looking up, she replied. I saw the rain had stopped, so I didn't go. I glanced down at my suit pants, plastered to my calves from the water. The rain outside hadn't stopped, I thought. It had just been coming and going on and off again. The leftover takeout container on the dining table told me she'd already eaten. I looked at Ruby. She really was beautiful. So beautiful it was impossible to stay mad at that face. Her slender eyes were locked on the screen, a tiny mole near the corner of one eye drawing you in. Her long, pale fingers tapped rapidly on her phone as she muttered gaming terms from time to time. I didn't understand most of it. Alex, get on my 6. I'll give you blue buff. That part I understood. She was playing with her gaming buddy. When Ruby said it, there was a smile on her lips and a hint of affection in her tone that was hard to miss. I looked away and went into the bedroom to pack my suitcase. I'm a minimalist, so I don't have much. When I dragged my suitcase out, Ruby glanced at me, her brow furrowed slightly. Another business trip? Before I could answer, she spoke quickly into her headset. Don't worry. I'm here. Get behind me. She seemed a little busy. I figured it would be better to break up with her face to face. While I waited for her, I threw the takeout container from the table into the trash. It was from her usual spot, a national fast food chain. After a while, her game still wasn't over. Just as I was debating whether to interrupt her, Ruby finally remembered I was there. Her smile vanished. She took off her headset and asked, "Why haven't you left yet?" I froze. The words "let's break up" stuck in my throat, and I swallowed them back down. I'm streaming right now, so I can't take you. Just get a cab. Remember to take an umbrella, be safe on the road, and come back soon. After rattling that off, she put her headphones back on. And so, she didn't hear my final reply. Okay, I'm not coming back. At 10 p.m., a late summer downpour kicked off the nightlife in San Francisco. I wheeled my 28-inch suitcase down the bustling street, feeling completely out of place among the stylish men and women passing by. A gust of wind made me shiver and pull my jacket tighter. Suddenly, I regretted being so impulsive. It wasn't like I was in a huge rush to leave. Where was I supposed to find a place to live at this hour? I looked at my phone, at the message I had successfully sent just minutes before. We're breaking up. The blunt words declared that Ruby and I were over. I pressed my lips together, clutched my thin jacket, and fought the urge to turn back. My stomach grumbled, betraying me. I sighed and ducked into a late-night food stall in an alley, ordering some barbecue and a beer. Turns out, when you're starving, ending a 4-year relationship with your first love doesn't hurt as much as you'd think. Ruby and I met in college. We were in the same lecture class. We weren't in the same major, but we hit it off immediately. Eventually, we became class buddies, saving seats for each other. After getting to know each other, she decided I was decent enough. So she asked me, "Want to try dating?" I said yes. Ruby was a local, and her parents had bought her an apartment while she was still in school. So after graduation, we both stayed in the city, living at her place. Ruby hated being tied down, so she became a full-time game streamer from home. I found an internship at a multinational corporation and was slowly getting my career on track. Felt like life was pretty good, until she found a gaming buddy and they became bros. They gave each other nicknames and teased each other constantly. "You little shit. Come save your mom. Don't cry. Daddy's here." It started with things like that, playing games and competing together. Then it evolved to sharing what they had for dinner and sending each other playlists. Their conversations expanded from games to each other's love lives. For instance, why he didn't have a girlfriend. I have you, don't I? He'd replied. Stop messing around. I have a boyfriend. Even though Ruby corrected him in a righteous tone, she was smiling. Looking back now, she must have been enjoying that delicate dance of plausible deniability. My job required a lot of travel, so Ruby and I were apart more often than we were together. Whenever we fought about her gaming buddy, she would throw this in my face. She'd say I was never there for her, that she'd just found a friend who shared her interests. She claimed I was the one with a dirty mind, that I was just being insecure, petty, and jealous. So, in the beginning, when she found this gaming buddy, I actually started to blame myself. Many times, I deliberately skipped company celebrations and dinners. Like this time, I had rushed back in a downpour. I was planning to celebrate with her, to take her out to dinner. But the person who promised to bring me an umbrella flaked on me. I came all the way back, hungry, my clothes cold and damp with rain, and she had already eaten, sharing a cloud dinner with her gaming buddy, ordering from the same fast food chain. They were on their own private, virtual date. If you really think about it, maybe we had been on different wavelengths for a long time. Just look at our schedules. When I went to work, she was sleeping. When I went to sleep, she was streaming. Our lives slowly lost their connection, while the conflicts piled up. I said she was having an emotional affair under the guise of friendship, that she had no boundaries. She said all I cared about was work, that I was obsessed with money. We each held our ground, pointing fingers and arguing our case. Afterward, we'd cling to each other, trying to convince one another in bed. But in the end, neither of us ever gave in. We were more like roommates who split the bills than a couple. And then nothing. By the time I finished eating, it was already 11. A light drizzle had started to fall again. Luckily, I had an umbrella this time, a huge one, big enough to keep both me and my suitcase safe and dry all the way to the hotel. I took a quick shower and went to bed. No insomnia, no overwhelming sadness. In my dream, I was reviewing that day's project meeting. Maybe Ruby was right. Maybe I really was obsessed with money. My alarm went off at 4 a.m. I squinted my eyes. Through the floor-to-ceiling window, the moon hadn't faded yet. The world outside was quiet, tinged with a lonely chill. I got up, stretched, sat down at the desk, and opened my laptop for my spoken English class. My written English scores were fine, but my speaking was a little weak. And my job required constant interaction with international clients. Before, at this time of night, Ruby would still be streaming. Seeing me in my class, she'd take a bathroom break to come over and kiss me. Then she'd hug me, her eyes full of sympathy. Leo, baby, don't push yourself so hard. Life is long, we can take our time. Worst case, you can just quit. Your girlfriend isn't hurting for the money you make. There was a time long ago when we trusted each other completely, when we gave our whole selves to one another. How did we end up like this? As the red sun peeked over the horizon, I checked the time. It was already past 7. I packed my things and jogged to the subway station. My office was far, over an hour's commute. Squeezed into a corner by the crowd, I put on my headphones to listen to my morning English audio. My phone buzzed a few times with new messages. It was Ruby. She'd sent a few photos, some streetwear clothes and a pair of limited edition sneakers. My message from last night had been pushed up. So, from last night until now, she still hadn't seen my text. We're breaking up. As I was wondering whether to remind her, she sent a few voice messages. I played them. Her voice was hoarse, probably from just finishing her stream. Baby, can you pick these up at the duty-free shop on your trip? It wasn't hard to guess they weren't for her. They were for her gaming buddy, Alex. I remembered them mentioning on a stream that he wanted to change up his style. Ruby had racked her brain trying to help him, even calling her mom for advice. I vaguely recalled that day was my birthday. I left work early and stopped by a bakery to pick up a small cake. It was key lime sea salt, Ruby's favorite flavor. When I got home, Ruby had just woken up. Seeing the cake in my hands, she asked sleepily, "Why the sudden cake?" I smiled and explained, "It's my birthday today." She scratched her head and laughed along. Sorry, baby. I got busy and forgot. She picked up her phone, transferred me 500, and added a happy birthday. I wasn't angry, but I wasn't exactly happy either. I had just lit the candles when Ruby urged me to make a wish. She was about to start her stream and was in a hurry. The flickering candlelight seemed to understand, extinguishing itself obligingly. I hadn't even had time to form a complete wish. So we rushed through it, cutting the cake, eating the cake. In the middle of it, Ruby suddenly looked up and asked me, "What kind of gift would you like?" I thought she was going to get me a belated birthday present and thought for a moment. My aftershave was almost out, so I told her the brand I used. Hearing it, Ruby shook her head. He doesn't use skincare products in that price range. She meant her gaming buddy, Alex. I froze for a second, then lowered my head in silence. I'd known for a long time about the gap between Ruby and me. Early in our relationship, I took our anniversaries very seriously. I did a ton of research and bought her a lipstick set that cost about $80. Meanwhile, I was wearing a generic pair of white sneakers that cost $15 with free shipping. But when Ruby received the gift, her expression barely changed. She even seemed a little disappointed. That's when I learned that the skincare sets she used every day each cost over $100. Her family was well off, her parents happily married. As for me, I had two parents, but they were divorced. Growing up, the phrase I heard most often was, "If I hadn't gotten pregnant with you, I never would have married your father. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been forced into this marriage." My existence was an accident, and they were forced to take responsibility for it. And so began a marriage of endless arguments. The year I turned 8, they ended up in the hospital again after another fight. At the hospital, my father ran into his first love. He promptly divorced my mother and started a fiery new romance. My mother cried for a long time in her hospital bed. After she recovered and was discharged, I never saw her again. My grandmother raised me. She gave me every penny she had saved in her entire life. Then, on a sunny, windless, rainless day, she left me forever. So, there was always a huge chasm between Ruby and me. Even without someone else coming between us, we probably wouldn't have lasted. Ding dong. The notification sound pulled me out of my memories. Ruby had sent another voice message, reminding me, "Look carefully, don't buy the wrong thing. It's a gift for someone." Suddenly, I remembered the early days when we were madly in love. My favorite singer was touring the country, and tickets were impossible to get. Ruby had hounded all her friends with the same kind of detailed instructions, begging them to help me get a ticket. Yes, there was a time when she cherished the things I loved. It's just that now, that devotion had been transferred to someone else. I smiled, feeling a sense of release. I moved her to my blocked list. Life's just 30,000 some days long. A few beautiful moments between people are enough. When I got to the office, a crowd had gathered in the reception area. I squeezed my way in. Turns out, two people were arguing. A helpful bystander, smelling the gossip, explained to the newcomers. These two showed up first thing this morning to ambush Ms. Lynn. They didn't find her, but they found each other. The moment they met, they started going at it. Over a woman? Is it really worth it? Why wouldn't it be? With Ms. Lynn's figure and face, she's a total goddess. If I wasn't afraid of getting fired, I'd fall at her feet. I'd die a happy man. An ice-cold face flashed through my mind. A woman who looked down on the world. My boss, Olivia Lynn. The first time I met Olivia was in a conference room. As I was presenting my proposal, she cut me off without even frowning. "This is no good. Redo it." Just a few words, and a week of my team's hard work was thrown out. Then, she precisely listed several shortcomings in the proposal. My manager was angry, but he couldn't argue with her points. He could only push back in other small ways, like saying, "Can't you show a little respect?" The kids got thin skin. What did Olivia say to that? "Oh right," she said. "The prerequisite for earning respect is absolute competence." As she was leaving, she glanced back at me and said coldly, "How can you convince clients when you can't even speak English fluently?" She was blunt and showed no mercy. It was hard to imagine that such a difficult woman would have men, very handsome men at that, fighting over her. Wait, fighting? Hey, why are they actually fighting now? For a split second, fragments of my childhood flashed in my mind. A man and a woman, grappling with each other, hurling the most vicious curses they could think of. I was too small, completely unable to stop two adults from fighting. Later, every time I thought about it, I was filled with guilt and self-blame. If I had stopped them back then, maybe they wouldn't have divorced. Maybe I would still have a family. That feeling of powerlessness became a crack in my heart. I subconsciously rushed forward to break them up, but I'd completely underestimated their strength. In the end, the absurd drama ended with me getting slapped across the face. A few long, bloody scratches from fingernails stung my cheek. As I was cleaning the wound in the break room, Olivia walked in. She glanced down at my injured face, her tone flat. "Come to my office." Felt like the calm before the storm. In her office, she took a first aid kit from the bookshelf and placed it in front of me. I got the hint, put my phone aside, and picked up a cotton swab and some iodine. At the same time, Olivia picked up my phone. She added herself as a contact, then transferred money. $100,000. All in one smooth motion. "Today's incident was my fault. Consider this payment for your medical expenses. And from now on, have some self-awareness. Mind your own business." Her words carried an undeniable pressure and disdain. I think I suddenly understood those men. Olivia Lynn was a jerk, for sure. But she definitely had a certain charm. If nothing else, she was incredibly generous with her money. Mark, the head of PR, stormed in, his face furious. He saw me and managed to compose himself for a second. This was the prelude to a fight between titans. I tried to slip away, claiming I had something to do. Olivia's voice was cool. "Finish cleaning your wound before you go." My escape route was cut off. Hearing this, Mark's face turned ashen. He dropped the pretense. "Fine, I'll be direct. I don't care who you mess around with, that's your private life. But letting them bring their drama into the office is on you. The narrative is still spreading, and the shareholders are already pissed." Olivia frowned and cut him off. "You don't need to worry about this. I'll hold a press conference in a couple of days." My eyelid twitched nervously, but Olivia acted as if nothing was wrong, casually flipping through a file. Sensing my gaze, she looked up slightly. "Book 2 tickets to Chicago for tonight. You're coming with me." I pointed at myself. "Yes, I've already informed your supervisor." She gave me no chance to refuse. Seeing my silence, she put down her pen, leaned back slightly and looked down at me. "What, you don't want to go?" No, it's just a little sudden." Olivia tapped her fingers lightly on the desk and raised an eyebrow. "Opportunity only comes to those who are prepared." I spent the whole morning thinking about it. 2 phrases kept playing on a loop in my head. "I don't care who you mess around with. Opportunity only comes to those who are prepared." To be on the safe side, after we landed in Chicago that night, we checked into different hotel rooms, and I made sure my door was locked. In fact, for the entire week, I was so busy I barely had time to breathe. Before we boarded the plane, Olivia had handed me a project brief. She put me in charge of coordinating the upcoming press conference. At the peak of the public outcry, Olivia calmly explained to the reporters. Her relationships with both men were long over, and she had given each of them a substantial severance package, even though some of the relationships had lasted less than a month. The moment her face appeared on screen, in this online world where looks are everything, the scales of public opinion immediately tilted in her favor. The comments section on the company's official website was flooded. Okay, with a face like that, I can understand why her exes were fighting. Oh my God, I'd pay for the privilege of being with her. Ivy League grad, beautiful, smart, and has an aura a mile wide. The overwhelming positive sentiment caused the company's stock to surge, hitting its daily limit. The newly opened branch in Chicago also rode the wave of publicity, quickly gaining name recognition and capturing the local market. Someone questioned whether the whole fiasco was just a reverse marketing stunt orchestrated by Olivia. Olivia's gaze lingered on that comment as she paused, mid-sip of her coffee. She smiled faintly. It's a little late for them to realize that now. Sitting next to her, I asked, not fully understanding, so, Ms. Lynn, those two men were actors you hired. Olivia's brow furrowed in irritation. In your eyes, am I that despicable? I was taken aback. She seemed inexplicably annoyed as she explained. My relationships with them were consensual. We had amicable breakups. As for them catching feelings again, that's not my responsibility. This was a pure coincidence. I just capitalized on the situation. It was the first time I'd heard someone describe being a player in such a sophisticated way. I kept a polite smile on my face, but internally, I was rolling my eyes. As if she could hear my thoughts, Olivia's face grew serious. This was the first project you managed from start to finish. On the surface, it seems fine. In reality, it's full of problems. The brief I gave you was very rough, but you followed it to the letter. You lack independent thought and the ability to adapt. Even when a golden opportunity is right in front of you, you might not be able to seize it. Even though it felt a bit like Olivia was taking out her personal frustrations on me, I had to admit she was right. Because the plan was already laid out, I really had just followed the steps without thinking. I quickly nodded in agreement and used the excuse of going to the bathroom to escape her barrage of critiques. When I came out of the restroom, I ran into someone completely unexpected. Ruby. I had been so buried in work this past week that I had barely thought of her. I thought I was over it, that I had completely forgotten her. But seeing her again, my heart couldn't help but flutter. We started with a spark. But when we ended, we didn't even say goodbye. After a 4-year relationship, how could she have zero reaction when I told her it was over? All those nights of sweet nothings and passionate embraces felt like they had never even happened. It was as if we had never been in love at all. I stood at a distance, watching her anxiously scan the area. Just as our eyes were about to meet, someone called her name. Baby girl, you looking for me? The man wore a loose t-shirt and black cargo pants that highlighted his lean frame. His short, neat haircut gave him a sunny, handsome look. He was bright and intense. I could clearly see the flicker in Ruby's eyes, a look that was anything but innocent. A long time ago, she used to look at me like that. Why didn't you text me back? I thought something happened to you. I was out drinking with friends last night. Forgot to reply. The crowd around us was noisy, but I still heard their conversation clearly. So, Alex hadn't been online last night and hadn't replied to her messages. Ruby had worried about him all night and booked the earliest flight to Chicago. And I just happened to run into them. It was almost laughable. I laughed at my own pointless sense of disappointment. We had already broken up. Whatever she did was none of my business. But as I turned to leave, my eyes started to burn. Leo? I heard Ruby's voice behind me. I didn't turn back. I just walked away faster. Ruby stared at the familiar back in the distance, stunned for a moment. Who was that? Nothing, I probably saw wrong. Ruby glanced at her phone's pinned chat. The conversation had stopped a week ago. A strange tremor went through her heart, but she chalked it up to anxiety from worrying about Alex all night and not getting enough sleep. Alex slung an arm around Ruby's neck affectionately and grinned. Come on, kiddo. Dad's gonna take you out for some good food. Ruby shifted slightly to create some distance. Watch it. I have a boyfriend. Then why are you so worried about me? Alex's question came out instinctively. Flying to my city at the crack of dawn just because you were worried about my safety. Ruby, your actions have gone way beyond the boundaries of a normal friendship. Admit it. You like me too, don't you? Alex's tone was sincere, his eyes welling up with tears. This ambiguous relationship was driving him crazy. When you like someone, you can't help but put yourself in a lower position to beg for their love. But Ruby rejected him. Even though everything she did, one thing after another, told him she liked him too, she wouldn't admit it. It's fine, he thought. We'll take it slow. One day, Ruby would realize her true feelings. They went to eat together, laughing again as good friends. It was as if nothing had just happened. When I got back to the coffee shop, Olivia had already closed her laptop and was waiting for me. I hurried over, making an excuse. Sorry, Ms. Lynn. My stomach was acting up, so it took me a little while. Olivia looked up at me, her gaze seeming to pierce right through me. Your eyes are red. It was a statement, not a question. I shook my head, denying it. Why? Olivia pressed on. Is it the pressure? Am I too harsh? Before I could say anything, she sighed softly. She instinctively raised her hand, as if to pat my head, but then thought better of it. Instead, she changed direction and patted my shoulder. As a newcomer, you've done a great job. I was a bit harsh earlier. I apologize. Come on, let's go celebrate. Olivia seemed to have misunderstood. She postponed our flight back to San Francisco and booked a table at a nearby restaurant to celebrate. As luck would have it, the restaurant she booked was the same one Ruby and Alex had gone to. We had just settled into our private room when Ruby burst in. Her eyes locked on me. Leo, that really was you. Alex followed close behind her. Ruby, what's wrong? He asked. Looking past Ruby, my eyes met Alex's. The look in his eyes was not friendly. Ruby didn't care about any of that. She stared intently at Olivia, who was sitting calmly at the table, and demanded of me, who is she? Weren't you supposed to be on a business trip overseas? Alex pursed his lips, his eyes darting between me and Olivia. Wow, someone's loaded. Getting a private room this big for just 2 people. If I didn't know better, I'd think you two were up to something shady in here. Olivia laughed, her tone unreadable. You're an interesting one, kid. What else would you do in a restaurant besides eat? Alex shrugged innocently. Who knows what you two are up to? Hearing this, Ruby clenched her jaw, her eyes red as she looked at me. Leo, did you sleep with her? I stared at her in disbelief. This person I had genuinely loved for 4 years. It was still the same face, but it was frighteningly unfamiliar. Because of Alex's vague insinuation, she had already branded me a cheater. So a week had passed, a full 7 days. She hadn't seen the breakup message I sent. Even now, she hadn't realized I had blocked her. Under these circumstances, she saw nothing wrong with us having no contact for 7 days. And what about you? I looked up, staring right at her. What? You keep notes on his preferences, order him takeout from the same brand you eat, scalp limited edition sneakers for him, buy him all sorts of streetwear and game skins. Just because he didn't reply to your messages for 1 night, you panicked and flew to Chicago to make sure he was safe. And then you two continue your ambiguous relationship over dinner, hiding behind the label of friends. If having dinner with someone else is enough for you to accuse me of betrayal, then what do you call all this intimacy between you two? It's not the same. How is it not the same? The words slipped out of her mouth before she could stop them. He's a guy. He can't be taken advantage of no matter what. At her words, Alex looked up in shock, his eyes glistening with tears. Ruby, what do you take me for? In what way am I not as good as him? My looks, my personality, my family background? So many people are after me, but I've been waiting for you to figure out your own feelings. And now you're telling me I'm just a toy for your amusement? Ruby, I really regret ever falling for you. With that, Alex stormed out of the room. Ruby bit her lip. Her fists clenched so tightly the veins on the back of her hands stood out. She was hurting, but she was fighting the urge to chase after him. The room fell into a heavy silence. After a moment, Ruby looked up and asked me, "Are you satisfied now?" She was blaming me. She was having an emotional affair with Alex under the guise of friendship. Even knowing he liked her, she kept him in her orbit. Then, when it all came to light, she made a difficult choice. She chose me over him. And so, she blamed me. Blamed me for forcing her to choose. I couldn't quite put a name to the feeling in my gut. I just knew I never wanted to see her again. Ever. Ruby, if you had paid any attention to my messages, you would have seen that I told you we were breaking up 7 days ago. The day you flaked on me to play games with Alex, we were already completely over. So right now, whatever is going on between you and Alex has nothing to do with me. Hearing this, Ruby grabbed her phone, opened our chat, and quickly scrolled up. The message I had sent her, "We're breaking up," lay there, quiet and lonely in the empty space. Ruby's pupils dilated, and her face went pale. I was streaming that day. You know how busy I get. Yes, she was busy. So busy that her boyfriend was away for 7 days and she couldn't even find the time to open his chat window. So busy that when her male gaming buddy didn't message her back for one night, she immediately flew to see him. So very busy. She didn't say anything more. Her excuse was too flimsy. The fact of why she was here made any further explanation sound pathetic. But none of it had anything to do with me anymore. I moved past her, heading for the door, but she grabbed my wrist, holding on tight. I don't agree to breaking up. Olivia stood up, blocking my path, and warned Ruby, "Let go of him. Fuck. Who the hell do you think you are?" Ruby swung her hand, aiming straight for Olivia's face. Olivia took the slap, and a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. She smiled, wiped it away, her eyes turning fierce, and slapped Ruby back. The two of them started fighting. At 28, Olivia worked out regularly, so her stamina was no less than that of 22-year-old Ruby, a former college athlete. Since graduating, Ruby had been staying up late, eating takeout, and barely exercising. She was a shadow of her former self from school. They traded blows, and for a moment it was hard to tell who had the upper hand. In the past, I would have jumped in, used my body as a shield to separate them, and tried to mediate. But this time I rushed in, waited for the right moment, and aimed for Ruby's face. The face I once loved most. I slapped it hard. Smack! Compared to the scuffling, the sound of the slap was incredibly loud. Ruby froze, her eyes red with disbelief as she stared at me. "You hit me? You hit me for her? Leo, you're really something else. What good could an old woman like her possibly have in mind, having dinner alone with you? We're both women. You think I don't know what she's thinking? Leo, we were together for 4 years. For whole years. We shared so many firsts. You're so heartless. You can just let go, just break up like it's nothing. No wonder your parents didn't want you. Person like you doesn't deserve to be loved." My heart lurched, felt like a dull, heavy punch, making it hard to breathe. "That's not true." I heard my own voice, a soft rebuttal. "It's not like that. You jinxed your grandmother to death. Anyone who gets close to you becomes unlucky." I squeezed my eyes shut, clapping my hands over my ears, losing control. "Shut up. Just shut up. Ruby, you shut your mouth." Olivia seized the opportunity, shoving Ruby hard against the wall. Ruby finally fell silent, slumping to the floor. Olivia loosened her collar, stood up, and made a phone call. "Send an ambulance." "Yeah, there was a fight. I'm okay, not dying." Olivia's face was also bruised and scratched. After hanging up, she looked at me. "Are you okay?" I shook my head, my legs feeling weak. I braced myself against the wall and slowly sank to the floor. Ruby's words echoed in my mind. Yes, Ruby and I were together for 4 years. There was a time I considered her family. In certain moments, I even saw her as my salvation. On those nights we held each other. We shared our deepest secrets. We trusted each other enough to let down all our guards, to retract all our thorns and embrace one another. And because we knew each other so well, we also knew exactly where to stick the knife to cause the most pain. My grandmother was such a good person, she should have lived a long life. But she passed away so early. They all said I was a jinx, a walking curse. That's not true. Grandma said I was born in the spring. She couldn't read, but she gave me a beautiful name, Leo. I was her most precious treasure. But how could she bear to leave her most precious treasure behind? Because they were right. People who get close to me are unlucky. I'm that jinx everyone despises. What do? The tears wouldn't stop. A warm suit jacket was draped over me, plunging me into darkness, but it felt strangely safe. Someone gently held me. If you want to cry, just cry. It was Olivia. In my dream, someone was humming a nursery rhyme. An old voice, pronouncing the words imperfectly. Grow up fast, grow up fast. Our little Leo, grow into a tall, strong tree. Then you won't be afraid of the wind and rain, the sun and storms. A calloused hand held mine tightly. I could feel the warmth of her palm, a constant source of heat. In an old building, a vintage fan turned slowly. An old woman was telling a story to a little boy in her lap. As my vision cleared, I saw their faces. It was my grandmother and my younger self. Grandma looked at me. Her wrinkled hand stroked my head as she smiled and asked, "Leo's back. You've gotten so tall. Let Grandma see, have you lost weight? Out there on your own. Have you been eating well? Loving yourself?" I nodded, tears streaming down my face without my permission. Someone touched my face, gently wiping them away. "Don't cry." I looked up. It was the younger me, the me that Grandma had raised so well. He smiled too, shrinking shyly into Grandma's arms. Content, happy. Grandma hugged him tightly and looked at me. "Leo, you will always be the apple of my eye. Even if I'm not by your side, I will always love you. You have to take good care of yourself, carrying my love and hope with you." I nodded forcefully and hugged them both tightly. But the tighter I hugged, the emptier my arms became. They were turning transparent, fading away bit by bit. I reached out, trying to grab them. "Don't go." I woke with a start. "I'm here." Olivia's voice was soft but firm. I looked down at our clasped hands. So the hand in my dream was hers. I quickly let go and scooted back, putting distance between us. "I'm sorry, Ms. Lynn. You got hurt because of my problems." Olivia glanced at the hand I'd released, her gaze lingering for a moment before she smiled. "It's nothing, just a scratch. That girl got it a bit worse, needs a couple of stitches. The doctor said you fainted from emotional distress. Just make sure you get some rest." "Thank you, Ms. Lynn." Olivia nodded and stood up. Backlit by the window, I couldn't see her expression. I only heard her voice. "I've lived 28 years, and this is my first fight. And for a guy, no less. It's kind of interesting." I lowered my head, not knowing how to respond. A soft chuckle came from above me. Olivia checked the time. "All right, you get some rest. Call me if you need anything." I nodded and watched her leave. She stopped at the door, turned back, and called my name. "Leo." "Yes? You're so wary of me. Are you afraid I'm going to eat you? While you're guarding against me, maybe you should also guard against others. For example, your very impolite ex-girlfriend." Click. The door shut. The only sound in the hospital room was the drip of the four. Outside, the banyan tree rustled, its long aerial roots swaying in the wind. There was one in front of my old home, too. Grandma used to say banyan trees were the easiest to grow. Once its roots touch the soil, they can support a small canopy of their own. A place for old friends to gather under a tree, unafraid of the passing years. A moment of peace. A phone call shattered the calm. "Leo, you're a real piece of work." It was Alex's furious voice on the other end. "Ruby is still so young. Her career is just taking off. What did she ever do to you that you had to try and send her to jail? You and Ruby were together for 4 years. How could you be so venomous?" I was stunned for a second but quickly recovered. She assaulted someone and slandered them. The law is fair and just. Slandered? What's slander? Isn't it true? I may like Ruby, but she always kept her distance. We never crossed any lines. You, on the other hand, you know damn well what you and that rich woman were doing in that private room. No wonder your mother ran off after having a screw-up like you. You deserve it, you know that? People like you don't deserve to be alive. You should just go die with your grandmother. Then your whole family can have a nice reunion. I had only ever told Ruby about my family. After everything that had happened, I wasn't even surprised that Ruby had told Alex my story. I could even picture it. Ruby telling Alex about my most painful and private tragedies, her expression full of pity, but with a smirk playing on her lips. Then the two of them playing the part of saints, looking down on me from on high, passing judgment or maybe just sighing with feigned sympathy. On the phone, Alex was still spewing vile insults. When I figured I had enough, I hit the stop recording button. I hung up and blocked his number, since he felt so wronged on Ruby's behalf. Then he could go keep her company. I contacted my manager, Dave. His sister runs a law firm. Well, if it isn't my dear Leo. Tell me, what did you do to Ms. Lynn? My ex-girlfriend was harassing me, and Ms. Lynn helped me. He cut me off before I could finish. TSK, not that. Ms. Lynn is suing your psycho ex. With our company's legal team on it, she's probably going to be doing time. Let's not talk about that, it's bad juju. The important thing is Ms. Lynn. I saw her after the fight, and she seemed to be in a pretty good mood. She even specifically told me to pay more attention to my subordinates. That's not like her at all. I quickly clarified. Ms. Lynn was just stepping in to help. It was just a sense of justice. Boring. You're not here. I can't even eat properly. I humored him for a bit before bringing up the issue with Alex. No problem. I'll send you my sister's contact info. Feel free to work her like a dog. Don't be polite. After talking to my manager's sister about Alex's defamation and verbal abuse, I learned the most he'd get was a fine of a few $100s and a few days in detention. But that was fine. It was enough. After all, my reputation and Olivia's were at stake. She was innocent and shouldn't have been dragged into my mess. People who get close to me don't become unlucky. I had to break this curse myself, to raise my own canopy and shield myself from all hardships. The branches of the banyan tree outside the window swayed gently. A breeze drifted in from the windowsill, lightly brushing my face, as if it were telling me, "My Leo has grown up. You've done well." Like Ruby, Alex was a game streamer. A few $100s in fines and a few days in detention meant nothing to him. He even bragged about it on his stream. Broke-ass loser, must be desperate for cash. Ha ha ha. Take the few $100, call it a donation from me to the poor. But right after he said that, his followers started tagging him in the comments of a certain social media account, demanding an explanation. An explanation for what? I had sent edited clips of his abusive phone call to a gossip account, along with footage from Chicago of him confessing his feelings to Ruby and them going out to eat. While I was gathering evidence, a few people claiming to be Alex's high school classmates reached out to me. It turned out that in high school, Alex had bullied a boy so severely that the boy developed depression and dropped out. Alex's family had paid a lot of money to cover it all up, allowing him to graduate without a hitch. The story quickly attracted the attention of the local authorities. Alex's father, who had lived a low-key life, was implicated in the scandal. A major investigation was launched, and he ended up spending the rest of his life in prison. Afterward, Alex quickly deleted all his social media accounts and vanished. Some people said he married into a rich family to try and save his father. As for where he really went, no one ever found out. Time seemed to hit the fast-forward button. As the end of the year approached, everyone was swamped with work. I moved into a new apartment, not too far from the office, with a commute of about half an hour. I still woke up at 4 a.m. for my English lessons, and thanks to my persistence, my speaking had improved dramatically. Later, I added a few business courses to my schedule. One day, Dave came to find me. "Leo, are you trying to channel your grief into motivation?" I stopped what I was doing and looked at him, confused. "You've been taking on way too much work lately, working overtime all the time. I'm worried about you. A new bar just opened downstairs. They've got some real lookers. Don't waste your time being sad over that psycho. Drinks are on me." I couldn't help but laugh as I declined his kind offer. "Thanks, you're a great boss. I was with Ruby for 4 years, over 1,400 days. That's just a small part of my life. I still have a lot I want to do, a lot of dreams I haven't accomplished. I want to see the elephants in Africa, the northern lights in Iceland, go diving in the Maldives, soak in the hot springs in Hokkaido." "You have good taste," Olivia said coolly, walking by with a cup of coffee. "Let's make the company retreat Hokkaido this year." "Yes." "The boss is awesome." Olivia's one sentence brought the entire office to life. I joined in with the others. "The boss is awesome." Olivia glanced at me for a second before looking away. I sat back down and went back to my work. A moment later, my phone screen lit up with a new message. It was from Olivia. "Your first dream on the company." I replied, "1." Olivia didn't write back. Among adults, there's an unspoken elegance in knowing when to stop. I worked late that night. By the time I left, the office was almost empty. As I was waiting for the elevator, Olivia happened to come out of her office. "Ms. Lynn, working late too?" Olivia nodded, her expression unreadable. We rode the same elevator down. It was a bit quiet. I pressed the button for the ground floor and the one for the parking garage for her. The moment the doors closed, Olivia suddenly walked toward me. I was backed into a corner. She looked up at me. We were so close I could feel her breath. Ms. Lynn, what is it about me you're not satisfied with? My looks? My family background? My education? My body? Or something else? I shrank back, trying to put some distance between us, but there was nowhere to go. No, Ms. Lynn, you're amazing, it's just what? She pressed closer. I offer a free trial, satisfaction guaranteed, and a 7-day no questions asked return policy. But I'm confident you'll be completely satisfied. Ding! The elevator doors opened. I shot out like a rocket and ran. My heart was pounding, which I told myself was from jogging to the subway station. Back home, after a shower, I lay in bed. For the first time, I had insomnia. I went through a long list of reasons. Finally, I blamed it on the iced Americano I'd had that morning. Around 11 p.m., my phone rang. It was Olivia. I silenced it and pretended to be asleep. It rang for a while, then stopped. I breathed a sigh of relief. I thought I heard the sound of a car engine starting outside. I rolled over, found a comfortable position, and tried to sleep again. I thought about it. Olivia was a great boss, a great friend too. But a girlfriend? Images of her exes, their pathetic fight, flashed through my mind. Every one of them was handsome and successful. What made me think Olivia would stay interested in me forever? What guarantee did I have that this relationship wouldn't end the same way? Just another failed attempt. When love fades, would we be left with nothing but bitter words for each other? If that was the inevitable end, I'd rather not even start. That way, my memory of Olivia would remain untarnished. The next day, I submitted a project application. Olivia glanced at it. This project requires a long-term relocation overseas. Are you sure you want to go? I nodded. Olivia closed the file, her fingers tapping lightly on the desk. To avoid me? No, Ms. Lynn. I want to improve. I want to grow into someone who can stand on their own 2 feet as soon as possible. I've prepared myself for this, which is why I'm taking on this project. Olivia thought for a long time, then finally nodded. Fine. Since you've made your decision, then go for it. Good luck. She signed the papers briskly and handed them to me. I bowed slightly in thanks, took the documents, and headed for the door. Leo. Olivia called out to me. I turned back. She said, "You can use my affection for you to do anything, as long as I can help. You are brave, kind, and sincere. You deserve it. I hope you grow into your own mighty tree sooner rather than later." My eyes started to burn. Thank you, Olivia Lynn. Watching his retreating back, Olivia felt a tingling, a buzzing inside her. She was certain that, in this moment, she liked Leo even more.